Another week, another Pokemon card market update. This week, things are kind of starting to slow down. I mentioned it in my last week's video, but things are definitely starting to level out. And we're going to take a look at if I think things are leveling out because they're about to start going down, or if they're just leveling out, taking a breather before they take their next leg up. In my opinion, I think people are just kind of taking some profits after the huge run up. People are waiting until the holiday season to really kick off into gear. So I think things are slowing down for now, but I think they will take another leg up here close to the holiday season. But just as likely that people instead start selling off their Pokemon investments to fund other like Christmas presents and stuff like that during the holiday season. So we'll kind of see which way it goes. But I would lean towards things starting to pop off again here before Christmas. I think they're just stalling out as people kind of build up some savings for the holiday season. We'll start, as we always do, taking a look at the TCG Player best-selling items. The first one on the list, Mega Evolution Enhanced Booster Box. Market price of $316. Showing lowest listed of about $320 here, which is... yeah, very expensive. Most recent sales, $318, $315, $319. So right there, comfortably at $320. Am I buying at this price? No, I'm waiting for Wave 2. Wave 2 should be hitting here at the end of October, I would guess. And then we'll see some more stores start to list their product. Unfortunately, they'll probably list it at, $250 since market price is at $300. They can list it at $250, feel like they're giving you a deal and be the good guy, even though they're selling $100 over MSRP. But I'm not knocking them. There's money to be made. They've taken the risk on getting distribution access, so they should be able to sell whatever they want to sell it at, and most of them will probably settle on that $250 mark. At $250, I might look to pick up one or two more boxes. Again, I have two that I picked up at $250, and I'm not opening any at this price because it's just too expensive to open. But I do think this is a very good base set, and I do personally think this will be better than Phantasmal Flames. So I probably want to get some more. It's just $250 is a lot. But personally, that's where I would be looking to buy some more, pick up some more. Phantasmal Flames, we'll talk about this next. This is only pre-sale right now. Good to see this pre-sale going down. I mean, $330 market price. That will definitely come down as we get closer to the release of this, which is next month in November. And in my opinion, I think this set is a little bit worse than Mega Evolution base set. I think this will be received just like, Champions Path, Obsidian Flames, all those other just strictly Charizard sets. I think if you go back to 2023, whenever Obsidian Flames came out, that set came out and people were pretty reserved on it at first. Of course, the big Charizard was just the terrestrialized Charizard, which is not nearly as cool as the art in this one or the gold card in this one. I do think those two cards will carry it, so it'll perform better than Obsidian Flames. But I think beyond that, especially with the Oricorio promo being in the Charizard UPC, I think this set will be pretty mid going forward as far as Mega Evolution sets are concerned. So I could see this coming down to somewhere around $200 with it being just a step below Mega Evolutions. But again, when you look at every other booster box in the era being $200, the Charizards in this set will make it better. So it might be around $250. Personally, I would be looking to pick some up around that $200 to $250 range. I'll be looking to pick them up anywhere in there, really, depending on when pre-orders start coming out. I haven't seen any pre-orders on these from like Game Nerd, Safari Zone, Pokemon Coliseum, any of those places. I haven't seen them come out yet. So we'll see what they pre-order for, and then I'll kind of make my decision there. If they're putting their boxes up for $300, it'll be a pass from me. But at $250, I'll buy a few up just for my collection. Since I briefly mentioned it, we'll talk about the Mega Charizard UPC here. I personally love this product, and it's still pre-sale only, so it's kind of crazy, but it's interesting to see this is showing pre-sales started at $250 and went all the way up to now sitting at around $400 market price. That's insane on this. I would not be paying $400, but I do understand that this is a really good UPC in general. I am hopeful that they printed a lot of these. The Pokemon Center pre-orders stayed up for a little while. Walmart had some pre-orders that went live. I didn't get any of those. Unfortunately, I was like 5 minutes late, which would have been nice to pick them up there, but Walmart had a limit of 12. So please, Walmart, I know Walmart's not watching my videos, but please put your limits at less than 12 for these drops, because having a limit of 12 is insane for these. This should have been a limit of 1 to 2. And then a lot more people could have gotten this product, which would have been nice. Personally, I think this one is very comparable to the Charizard UPC from way back when. Definitely fell to like $80 or something like that. But it came out the gate at like $150 to $200 for pre-orders and all that. And it was being hyped up like crazy. They were able to print a ton of it, and it was a totally different Pokemon card market. I get that for sure. But I expect this product to come out the gate pretty hot again, but then start to slowly trickle down as people end up getting their hands on the promos. The thing that sets this one aside is that the pack selection here is so good. I'll be looking to pick these up at like $200. I think it'll be just like the Prismatic Eevee SPC that came out, and that one got down to about $200 at its lowest and then bounced up from there. So I could see this doing something very similar. Because we're in a different market, I don't think it'll get down to like 80 bucks that the Charizard UPC went down to, but I would be looking to pick these up at $200. Normally, I don't love UPCs just because of how big and bulky they are, but with the promo cards in this thing and the pack selection and the Charizard being on the box, I do think this will do very well long term. I could see it performing exactly like the Charizard UPC that has those 3 amazing promos, Evolving Skies packs inside, to where it's, you know, a $400 box in 2 years. So I don't think it should be $400 out of the gate, but in 2 years, I could see it getting there. My personal buying price on this is going to be about $200 if I can find them there. And again, if that doesn't come down to $200, I'm just going to have to be okay missing out. And that's just where I'm at with these products. At some point, I'm going to have to be okay missing out. And perfect example of that is going to be the Destined Rivals booster box that's now sitting at $400. This one's interesting because it has come down. It hit a high of $492 market price. Now it's dropped all the way down to $400. I do think this is the best set of the era, and personally I would be looking to pick more up at $300 will probably be my entry point. I know earlier I said $250, but I think as time goes on, that entry point has to keep coming up a little bit more. I don't think this will come all the way down to $200 as much as I would love it to. I just think the booster box is seen as that premium of a product that investors will swoop up and pick up these Destined Rivals boxes too quickly for it to ever come down that low. Rip and shippers will be buying this for as long as packs stay above $10. So $10 a pack is $360 for a booster box. So it still makes sense for pack rippers to buy at $360 if they can break it out and sell the packs for more than $10. So in my opinion, I could see it coming down to $350, but I'm hopeful that it comes down to $300 with more reprints. They just had more reprints of this on the Pokemon Center website on Monday. I of course missed all that because I was at work, which is too bad, but hopefully they continue printing this out not only on their website, but then they can get some out to LCSs that'll sell more. Again, the problem is distributors, when they get this product, are going to sell it for more, which means the stores are going to have to sell it for more. But $300 is where I would look to pick some up of this. I would even love a case of this, but I would prefer, you know, to pay $1,500 to $1,800 for a case if it gets down that low. But even that is 3 times what people were paying for normal cases, which is crazy. But I do think we're in a different Pokemon card market now, and I think Destined Rivals is that good of a set that $1,500 to $1,800 market price, which is like $250 to $300 box, would be where I look to pick up cases. But we'll see. They might not even reprint cases. They might not even do a sizable reprint of booster boxes because they've got so much other stuff to print. But I think it'd be silly for them not to reprint this. I think they knew Destined Rivals was going to be this good of a set. So I think they plan on printing this long term. You know, it usually takes like 6 to 8 months for them to actually print things and get them out to us. So I would anticipate they expected this set to be very good and have 2 to 3 more waves coming of this. We'll see if it's in collection box form or booster box form, but I'm hopeful that I can pick up some more booster boxes, but I'm still being patient on this, not picking them up at $400. The Mega Evolution trainer boxes, Elite trainer boxes, it's interesting to see the Gardevoir at $94 market price and Lucario at $100 market price. In my opinion, the Gardevoir box is better because of that Alakazam promo. I'm just a Gen 1 bias. I think that's why I like that more. I know Lucario is still a popular Pokemon with that Riolu card in the other box, but in my opinion, I'd be picking up the Gardevoir, but not at $100. I think these will continue to be reprinted. I think Pokemon is trying to get these out as much as they can, especially with it being the new block. So I think they'll continue to print ETBs going forward. And I could see these coming down to $75, just like the Twilight Masquerade and Surging Sparks ETBs are now down to, because I just think they'll keep reprinting those next now that they're done with Twilight Masquerade and Surging Sparks. So being patient on those. Booster bundles, Prismatic Evolutions, if you don't have any of these, I think they're a pretty decent pickup. I would prefer to pick up the Elite Trainer boxes, but if you don't want to spend $135, and you'd rather just spend $60 on 6 packs, that's $10 a pack, but it's sealed, I think this would be an okay pickup if you don't have any. Same thing with 151. Booster bundles are still at $100, and they've been, again, sitting pretty steady at that $100 mark. If you don't have any exposure to 151, I would suggest picking these up. I think the ETBs have probably gotten away from you at $400. You probably shouldn't chase those. But again, you're making your own decisions. I can only tell you what I'm doing. I'm holding the ones that I do have, and I'm not buying any new ones at $100. But if I didn't have any exposure, I would definitely be picking some up at $100. Prismatic Evolutions Elite Trainer Box. This is where I'm spending most of my money. Right now, I'm still buying one of these per week, and this thing just continues to go up. It's gone sideways a little bit here. Again, it hit 135 in early September and has been steady right at that point. And that is exactly the time you want to be moving into products like this, especially if you're looking to build a position. You love to see it sideways like this because that means every week when you're buying, you can just buy more and more at the same price, and then eventually it'll have another leg up. But it's equally as possible to keep printing this and it has another leg down. But in my opinion, that's okay. Prismatic Evolutions is that good of a set with set values going crazy. The possibility of God packs. I have no question that this set will do very well long term. It's just a matter of how long does it take to get there. But as an investor, I really don't care. I mean, if you're telling me, you know, the average investor looks to make what, 7 to 10% in the S&P market every year. So if you're telling me it takes 5 years for this box to get to $300, I would be very happy with that, because that's a very good return for the risk that I'm taking on this box. So in my opinion, it's no question of if Prismatic Evolutions will get to $300. It's just a matter of when. They could print this for the next 2 years, that it's in print, and it keeps coming down or stays right around this $140 mark. But I think eventually, say in 5 years, this will be more than $300. So I feel very comfortable putting my money there, but especially the way I'm doing it with just buying one box every week, that's a pretty manageable investment for me. Risk to reward feels fine on that. So most of my money right now is going into Prismatic Evolutions ETB. The Bulbasaur stamped card from Mega Evolutions. This is interesting. This is the first card we see on the front page, and I do absolutely love this card. It's showing a market price of $35 with recent sales right around 33 to 35. I think this is a very strong buy. It's a, you know, Gen 1 popular Pokemon starter with the Mega Evolution stamp. Beautiful artwork. I think stamp cards are going to do very well. I think people opening these boxes are going to be selling this card off to try to recoup some of that cost from the box. So now's the time you want to be picking these up. So I am looking to buy some more of these personally. At $33, I'll be running grading plays with them, but I think even the non-gradable copies I'll hold on to and kind of hold on long term, because I think stamp cards will do very well long term. Umbreon EX, we'll take a look at this just because it's the GOAT of the era so far. Near mint prices, this is still going crazy. $843 is what it was. It jumped all the way up to $1,144 with recent sales around $1,200. So this card continues to go crazy. And I mentioned I thought this might be a pump fake with the Prismatic Evolutions Costco drops that we're getting. I'm wrong on that front so far, but in my opinion, I'm still not picking this card up at this price. But if you've got bigger pockets, you've got a bigger risk tolerance, like this thing dropped 50% all the way down to $800 from when it came out at $1,600. So buying it down here at $1,100 doesn't feel as bad. Again, I just don't like chasing cards that have already run up like crazy, but this one has come off from its high, so it could make sense. It's just, that's a lot of money for a very modern card. But, you know, Umbreon continues to be the GOAT of the last two eras, so I'm not going to knock you if you want to play in this arena, but that's not an arena that I'm personally playing in. This card continues to do well in raw form because the PSA 10 price is doing so well, but I'm personally, that's too rich for my blood. For $1,100, I'd rather buy a whole bunch of Prismatic ETBs. Evolving Skies booster box, I don't have one of these, but we'll take a look at it just to show, again, it's just everything is staying stagnant right now. This thing hit $2,500 off a run-up back in September 18th, and now here we are October 7th, and it's still at $2,590. So absolutely no growth from this. It looks like there have been some sales at $2,300 and $2,400, which is even below this price. So interesting to see if that market price updates any. But again, it just seems like most everything, including Sword and Shield, has just gone sideways. And we'll see if people start taking profits and it brings the price down, like those $2,400 sales, or if it's just cooling off before the holiday season and then market starts to heat up again. My opinion, I lean towards that. I think it will start heating up here end of the year towards the holiday season as people start looking to buy more products. But it also, as I mentioned earlier, makes sense that people could be selling this off to fund Christmas stuff, Christmas activities. Prismatic Evolution SBC, this is what I talked about. This being cheaper than the Charizard UPC is kind of crazy. In my opinion, the Charizard promos are better than the Eevee promo, and I like this box a little bit better because of the pack selection inside. But again, Prismatic product, this will do very well long term. I'm very sure of it. But in my opinion, I'd rather have 3 Elite Trainer boxes than one of the SPCs, especially for storage. Those things are big and bulky and hard to store. These gold cards, you know my opinion on these things. I think this is silly to be at $700. Now that we've seen pull rate, it's crazy how hard these are to hit. And I do like that from Pokemon Company. I do like having like a Mega Chase in the set, which is really cool. And I personally love gold cards, but for people to be crazy about these the way that they are is a little insane. I'm definitely not paying $600, $700 for this thing. Even the Charizard, which will probably be, again, right around that $600, $700 when it first comes out. I'm not paying that, even as a big Charizard guy. I'll be patient and wait for these to come down. I think they're just like, the hit rates are very similar to the VMAX Alt Art cards, which were very hard to hit, but even those came down after a little while. So I'm going to wait, let people open these cards, see if they come down. Personally, I'm not going to buy the Lucario or the Gardevoir ever, but I will be looking at the Charizard for sure. And the Charizard, I might have to justify it by making a few plays on it for PSA, selling off a few copies, and then using that proceeds to roll into a card for myself. Team Rocket's Mewtwo at $550 is absolutely crazy, but another one that's kind of stabilized here. It hit $548 back in September 29, and then since then it really showing 0 items sold for almost all of October, which is kind of crazy. Most recent sales, yeah, looks like 525, 564. So below market price again, another one that's kind of stalling out here, and we'll see where it goes from here. I'm not buying, but I'm also not selling the one that I have. In fact, full disclosure, I sold the one that I had back at $370. So I could see this one retracing for sure as more Destined Rivals hits the market and gets opened up, especially over the holiday season with those collection boxes that they're bringing out. They're bringing out, I don't know, like 5 EX boxes that almost all have Destined Rivals packs in them over the holiday season, and those will be open like crazy, especially on Christmas. So I could see a lot of the big hits from Surging Sparks on take a hit over the holiday season as people are opening more packs. Charizard EX from 151. This is another one that's gone down recently, not just stagnating. This one hit a high of over $300. And like I said, I mentioned in these weekly videos that what I was doing is I was buying these all the way up to $250. And then I stopped because they've gone up too quick, too soon. So interesting to see this one fall back all the way down to $283. But I do think as we see recent sales here of 275, 264, 265. So I do think there's still a little bit of room here for this to keep falling. However, I do think 151 is a pickup right now, especially if you don't have this card, because 151 packs are like 16, 17 bucks now. So people are going to be opening a lot less of those going forward, which could cause these cards to go up. The downside is that 151 is a smaller set. So there's so many of these Charizards out there that people could move off them to get into new products that they want. Say they want to chase the new Charizard, so they sell off their old one that they're sick of in order to chase the new one from Mega Evolutions. You know, people do that a lot of times. They're tired of their old thing. They want the new thing. And this is a way for them to get that. They can trade this into a booster box of Mega Evolutions, Mega Inferno X, and they might do that. So I could see this kind of stagnating, leveling out here at around 250. And again, I would start to look at picking them up again at 250 because I'm selling these off in PSA 10s, hopefully, fingers crossed, and then running the play again. So the ones that I do have at PSA right now, I'll look to sell off to run this play again, but I'm not buying new ones at 300. I'll be looking again at 250. Surging Sparks booster box only 286. I do think that's a pretty interesting buy. I think if you compare the two between Mega Evolutions and Surging Spark, if you could find Mega Evolutions at 286, I would probably prefer Mega Evolutions. I know Surging Sparks is a little bit older, but I think Mega Evolutions is just a better set. I had been picking up Surging Sparks at 250 when it was around 250. So if you can find some that people are trying to fire sale, it might make sense to pick some up there at 250 because I do think this is probably the third best booster box set of the era behind Destined Rivals and Paldea Evolved. So my opinion, I still really like Surging Sparks, but it's definitely hit a plateau at the $300 mark and come down a little bit. Prismatic Evolutions booster packs at $8.54. I think these are a pickup, especially if you can find them in the Costco drops, like this Costco mini tin display or the Lucario box. If you can find those from people selling locally, I think buying these under $10, if you can find them for like 7 or 8 and start stacking them away, I think those make sense. I did that a lot with 151 with the Blooming Waters that came out, and I'm starting to move into Prismatic now with that strategy. So I don't mind holding on to loose packs. They still sell pretty well. You can sell them on eBay if you've got an established enough store, but if not, there's plenty of breakers out there that will buy your packs from you for pretty good prices, honestly, especially if you're getting them for cheap and letting them run up. Doesn't really matter if you take 80% because you've already got your gains baked in as long as you're patient with it. So Surging Sparks Elite Trainer Box, I'll just touch on this briefly because I still think this is a very good opportunity. $72. That's what I anticipate all of the new booster boxes to do going forward. Destined Rivals might not drop this much because it's just that good of a set, that good of an ETB. But at $72, I think this makes sense as both an investment and if you're looking for something to open, especially if you want something for the holidays coming. I think this with a Pikachu on the box is a very good Christmas present for people just because he's the mascot. And then Surging Sparks is just that good of a set that if you can find these somewhere for 70 bucks, I know it's not MSRP, but it's pretty darn close. And in this market, I think we're only going to get close on most things. So in my opinion, I do think that's a pretty decent pickup. Charizard UPC and the 151 UPC, I'll just mention those briefly. 151 UPC at $600 is crazy, but if you don't have this, you might have missed the boat, but if you got big pockets and you want exposure to 151, 151 is that good of a set that I anticipate these to do very well long term. The one thing I'll say about these Ultra Premium collections is they are really big. I think this Mew one is the biggest of all the three. So if you're looking for storage, it just makes things a little bit awkward because you're used to booster boxes, elite trainer boxes, and stuff like that. You can store those pretty easy, but these things are pretty big. So keep that in mind if you're looking at these. But again, if you don't have any 151, you should have been picking it up. But if you don't have any, it might be time to hop on the train. And the Charizard UPC, I still love this thing. The promo cards are still going crazy. Awesome pack selection. Charizard on the outside of the box. I've loved this thing since day one when I was calling around to GameStops to try to see if they had any in stock on release day. I never could find one in person. I ended up pre-ordering it, I think for like 200 bucks, which again, looking back on it at the time was crazy, but I ended up opening it and had a good time with it. And then the ones that I bought when they eventually came down to 80 bucks have essentially paid for that. I sold one off at like 300, and then I'm holding on to one still at 433. So I still feel very comfortable with that, and will probably employ the same strategy with the Charizard X UPC. The Mew EX Bubble Mew here, we got to take a look at this because this is trying to make a run for the King of the Era. However, this one has stalled out, whereas the Umbreon is still going crazy. So this thing hit a market of $700 again back in early September. Since then, it has stalled out at $650, with most recent sales of $625, $600, $600, $600. So even lower than the market price. This thing continues to come down. And interesting that they are reprinting more Paldean Fates in those Iron Tusk boxes that just hit Walmart as well. Hopefully we see those at other retailers, because those would be another thing. I was mentioning I picked up 151 packs that way, and I'm picking up Prismatic now. I will pick up Paldean Fates that way too. If I see people selling those locally near me, I'll be picking those up all day. If I can find packs around $10 a pack for Paldean Fates, I'd be very comfortable with that. So this is another one that I'm staying away from the single card. As much as I love it, I should have bought this at $80, obviously, but I missed on it. But I'm not chasing it at $600. I do absolutely love this card, and the artwork on it is phenomenal. I do love these derpy Pokemon, but just out of my price range. Page 3 is where we see a whole bunch of more singles, which is interesting. The Mega Lucario, $278. That seems a little bit high. I still think this is very similar to the Mewtwo from Crown Zenith. That one came down to, I think it was like 90 bucks at one point, and then now it's jumped up to like 200, 250. So I could see this doing the same thing, probably not jumping all the way down to 90, just because of, again, the market we're in is totally different, and the hit rates are a little bit harder than Crown Zenith. But I think $200 for this is pretty fair. The Umbreon VMAX Ultra Art, $2,280 market price. Absolutely insane, but the GOAT of the era. We all knew that card was iconic ever since day one. So can't believe we pulled that thing. That thing will be staying with us forever. I love that card. The Mew EX promo card, again, I said I was not buying this, and I would be looking to sell off any extra copies that I had, and the chart is bored. And it's interesting to look at when you look at the 1 month chart, it's down 14%. So some of these high flying promo cards, even people started to realize that they had this in their collection and they could use it to fund other things in their collection, especially when it had run so much so fast. I mean, this thing's up 600% on the year, which is absolutely insane. You could be picking these up last year for under $10, and now they were at like 70 bucks at their high, 73. So not surprising to see this one cool off a little bit, especially how fast it's run so quickly. So again, I'm not looking to buy these yet. I would probably look to pick more of these up at $50. I could see them doing that because, again, they're just like an art rare in the set, and the highest art rares of the sets have been settling right around that $50 to $80 range. So I could see this coming down to $50. I'm not picking any up now, but I do want more to grade in the future. Destined Rivals ETBs at 116. I'm still being patient on these, hoping they get reprinted and come down more. But Black Bolt, White Flare, those are at $87 and $82 respectively. I think these are very good too. I think both for an opening experience and for investing, this is a pretty decent price point. Again, I'd rather just pay up and get Prismatic Evolutions or Destined Rivals if I had to. However, if you're looking for something to open and you don't want to spend $120 to $140 on an ETB, then these make sense because the hit rates are so good on these that it feels just like Crown Zenith did back in the day. And I absolutely love that. So these are two very good sets. I'm just not big Gen 5 fans, so I'm passing on those. I have a few Black Bolts that I'm holding on to, but that's about it. Lost Origin, another one, when you look at the box, it has just gone stagnant. Ever since September 1st, it hit $800, and now since then it has not moved. So look at most recent sales, $812, $859, $863. So maybe trying to make a little bit of a move, but still probably bouncing in that range. So it's interesting to see that this thing has just gone sideways. And I think that's really healthy. I think it's good that it's consolidating for a month and a half and not just going back down to $200 where it was a year ago. I mean, for it to keep those gains is really good to see, because that, if you look at the chart, that's exactly how it goes. It goes, you know, sideways for a little bit. It looks like 2 to 3 months, October through December, and then it makes a run up, and then it comes down, goes sideways for another 3 months, and it pops up, and then it goes sideways to down a little bit, and then it pops up. So this should run sideways if it follows this trend for maybe another month or so, but that runs right into the holiday season like I was just talking about. So in my opinion, I anticipate most boxes to do that and have another leg up here soon. So if you don't have any of this and you got big pockets, I think Lost Origin is a very good set. I think it's probably the second to third best set of the Sword and Shield era, behind Fusion Strike. Fusion Strike has more top hits, but Lost Origin has a much better trainer gallery. I love that set, but people don't open these boxes when they get to this price point, so it's more like if they are going to open it, they're looking for those top chase cards, and with Fusion Strike having Mew and Gengar and Espeon, whereas Lost Origin only has really the Giratina, and then it's got, you know, trainer gallery Pikachu's, the Aerodactyl, but I think the top chase cards are better in Fusion Strike, which is why that one's staying a little bit ahead of Lost Origin. But as an overall set, I like Lost Origin better. 151 Elite Trainer Box, another one that has gone sideways. This one, again, it's interesting just how they all follow the same trend. It's so weird because it's like, are people in the Pokemon market really just following the money that much that as soon as it stops, like everyone stops buying, and then as soon as it starts going up, everyone starts piling into it again? Like, if we start seeing sales of this thing for $450, which right now most recent sales 400, 400, 375. If we start seeing sales of 450, 475, 475, will people just start piling into it to try to drive it up to 600? In my opinion, I do think that's what happened. So we'll kind of see if anyone does make a run on these. Again, people with real money, it doesn't take a lot to manipulate these, especially on TCG Player. And if you're only looking at TCG Player, not looking at eBay, very easy to manipulate these prices. So I could see someone with a lot of money making a big play on this. And I mentioned earlier the 151 at $400 is probably out of the price range and you should be looking at bundles. But if you don't have this and you're looking at the consolidation period, it might not be a bad time to pick it up if you got a lot of money to spend. I just think 151 is that good of a set. But me personally, I would be looking to offload here rather than look to pick up more. But I'm trying to be as patient as I can for the next leg up. I've got some of these boxes I am looking to sell off, but I'm trying to wait for the next leg up on everything. In my opinion, like I said, I think it's coming before the end of the year. Start speed run here as we're getting close to 30 minutes. I'll try to start moving a little bit quicker, but this Eevee card here is one of my favorite plays as well. Again, I love Prismatic Evolutions, and this comes from a $100, $140 ETB. So I am picking these up as much as I can. It's another one that I've been picking up all year to try to make plays on because I think Prismatic is that good of a set and this card will do very well. Eevee's a very popular Pokemon, sleeping, very cute artwork. I think this will do very well long term with a lot of fans of the genre, so I love that card. I'm looking to pick more up so I can grade even more of them. Blastoise from 151 making a run up to $97. Again, I still think 151 cards are very, very good, and I'm trying to pick up more as they slow it down and keep that grading play running. Same thing with the Charizard V. This thing, I mentioned the Charizard hype way back when, and that this card I expected to do well, and it has done exactly that. So I mentioned when it had this big run up from $57 all the way up to $120 that I was not buying anymore. I was going to wait for this to come back down. And I could see it coming back down to $80 to $100 range and then settling somewhere in there, considering that its previous high was about $85. So I could see it coming down to that, and then I would look to start picking some up. I still need this in a PSA 10 for my collection, but had been holding off because of its price run. 151 booster packs. This is interesting. I was yelling, screaming, buy, buy, buy all of these for the last 2 months, and it's run up like crazy. It ran up all the way to $18.23, and then some sellers came to market and knocked it down to $16.36. And it looks like most recent sales here, there are some around $15.99, 100 packs at $15.99. So interesting that these are selling, but still, 15 to 20 bucks is crazy for these packs that were, you know, $10 to $12 for the longest time. But 151 is that good of a set. I'm definitely sold on it and tried to pick up as much of this as I can. I'm not picking up any more at $16 per pack, but if you don't have any, it might be time. Snorlax from 151, the Snorlax promo card from 151. This is another one that, just like the Eevee card, I think this will do very well. These are the cards that I'm trying to look at making plays in. I know it's run up a little bit in the last 3 months from $8 all the way up to $20, but I still think this is coming out of a $400 box. Popular Gen 1 Pokemon, cool artwork. People will need this to complete the master set. I think this card will do very well long term. I'm trying to pick up as many of these and grade as many of these as I can. If they're not gradable, I'm just holding on to them, hopes that they run up a little bit more. Again, the $50 art rare range seems to be pretty comfortable, so I could see this making a run up to $50 soon. Silver Tempest booster box at $486. That's crazy at $500 because you're looking at it's like the same price as a Destined Rivals booster box, and it's really difficult because is Destined Rivals a better set than Silver Tempest? Probably. But is Silver Tempest so much older? You know, it's never going to get reprinted. So if you're looking for more of a safe investment, it's probably going to be Silver Tempest. But Destined Rivals is probably a better set. So it's really tough not to pick that up at this price when you look at what else you can buy. But in my opinion, I would be taking Silver Tempest just because the risk of reprints with Destined Rivals is too high that I think that will come down eventually. Whereas I don't think we're getting any more reprints for Silver Tempest. And Lugia set, good trainer gallery in here, so I think that'll do very well long term. Fusion Strike over $1,000. Again, this one sat a little bit stagnant. In my last weekly update, I think it was $1,100, so sitting right there around $1,000. Charizard EX and Paldean Fates at $300. I still think that's a little bit too expensive. I think that'll come down with the Paldean Fates reprints that we're getting. And interesting, all of these are single cards, it looks like. We've got a few sealed product, but the majority just raw cards. Charizard V-Star here from the Charizard UPC. This one went sideways. Interesting to see this hasn't fallen like the Mew has fallen, but just gone sideways for a little bit. So we'll see when that decides to pump. Mewtwo V-Star at $210. See, in my opinion, I'd take this over the Lucario card any day of the week. So I think the Lucario card will come down and then Mewtwo will come up until they kind of meet each other at like the $250 mark. Gardevoir EX, I still love this card, but it's, again, Paldean Fates. I think that'll come down with reprint. Kingdra EX, if you don't have this card at 60 bucks, I think that's fine. Again, I love the $50 art rare tier is kind of where I'm comfortable playing in for the high end. And I think this card has such a unique art that it's just beautiful card. So I will be looking to pick some of these up, try to grade some more because I do want more of those. Dragonite V alternate art, that card's been going crazy. Again, it looks like alternate arts from Evolving Skies in particular are still going crazy. But the Lugia at $450 as well. Zapdos at $91 from 151. I still love that card, picking up as many of those as I can. Misty Psyduck at $67. I think that's fine. I picked mine up at $50 because, again, I like that $50 art rare mark. So I do think this could come down a little bit, but it's going to take some Destined Rivals reprint, and who knows when or if we'll see those. Evolving Skies booster packs at $30. It seems crazy, but it feels like they've been $30 forever. So it's like, when will they take their next run up? Again, I guess they ran up. They were 25 back here in July. So they ran up to 31 in August, and they've been $30 since then. I guess that is a long time in the Pokemon market when you're looking at everything weekly. The fact that these have been $30 forever. So it'll be interesting to see if these make a run up to $35. I mean, I anticipate they will. It's just a matter of when. I know there's a lot of Evolving Skies products that still float around in random Walmart tins and stuff like that. So that's kind of keeping the price down, but it'll be interesting to see when that makes a run. Articuno here, I love this card. At $25, I was screaming to buy it at $20. Now it's run up to $25. I still like it at $25. I think it deserves to be in that $50 tier with the Charmander from 151. These art rares from 151, I still love those as well. $50. I'm picking those up too. The Articuno I'm picking up at 20, 25. All of these cards that I'm telling you I'm picking them up, looking for gradable copies. If they're not gradable, I'm just holding on to them because I do think long term they'll do well. Same thing with this Greninja EX. This one stayed stagnant at $60 for a while, and I absolutely love this card. I was grading these cards all last year, sold them way too early, and now need to pick up some more with those proceeds, and I feel comfortable doing that at $60. It had run up like crazy, and I was kind of waiting to see where it was going to level out at, but I feel pretty comfortable. I know it was just a $10 card last year, but with the run up it's had, it stayed stagnant for long enough at 60 that I feel like it's pretty comfortably there, and I don't feel bad picking those up there. Celebrations Charizard in the top 10. I love to see that. This is my bread and butter play. $140 on this thing, and it has come down a little bit. Again, stayed stagnant with everything else that stayed stagnant, but $140. I've been picking these up for $100 for the last 2 years. So interesting to see that make a little bit of a run. And this was fueled by the PSA 10 prices making a little bit of a run. Those have gone up to like $450. So I'm still running that play as much as I can. Gengar and Mew trainer galleries, $40. I love these cards, not at that price. These were just so easy to pull that I can't justify paying $40. If anything, I'm looking to sell off my extras that I had. But personally, I'm still trying to run the play that I have. I do think I have one of these in a 10 of each of these. So I'll probably looking to be selling those off and run the play that way, but that's the only way I'll be buying new ones of these. The Vulpix here from Mega Evolution, I love this card. $25. I think that is a steal. I think that is just like the Articuno. I think that one will do very well long term. 151 popular Pokemon, beautiful artwork. I think the Articuno is probably better. If you had to pick one, I would probably prefer the Articuno, but personally love this Vulpix. Sort of the same thing with Bulbasaur here at $25, but again, I'd rather just pay up and get the stamped version. Celebrations UPC, we'll take a look at this just because it was the first product I ever purchased for investment purposes, so we'll see how that's done. 161% in last year, and you think that sounds amazing, but when you look at what else has performed better, there's just been better products out there, but I still personally love this product. I think it's so unique. I love Celebrations as a set. So much fun to open. I love the gold cards in here. I love both the metal cards and just the Pikachu and the Pokeball. Amazing product. This was the first big product that I opened after surviving a hurricane. I thought life's too short, so I might as well open a $300 Pokemon product, and this was the product that I chose. So as I always do, I bought two, kept one sealed, and opened one, and now I could sell off the sealed one to pay for the one that I opened in order to keep my collection cost free. So that's how I got started. Maybe I'll do a YouTube video on that someday about how I got started and my whole strategy with Pokemon collecting. But this is a fun one to look at just because of the way I got started with it. Looks like recent sales are over $900, so a little bit higher than the market price. We'll see if this thing makes a run to 1,000 before the 30th anniversary. I could totally see that. It'll be interesting to see how it treats that psychological barrier of $1,000. Again, when you're looking at this versus a booster box, I think a lot of people would prefer the booster box, but in my opinion, this is just so good because of what it guarantees you that I love the UPCs. Again, the only problem is this thing's so big to store. And that's page 10. Actually, see the Charizard here. I was yelling buy this thing when it was $20. Now it's up 50%, up to $30 already, which is fun to see. But again, with the Charizard, with the gold Charizard going to be the hype of the new set, I did anticipate this card to do very well. I know it's a pink Charizard with a goofy hat. People don't like that at all, but I still thought this card would do very well, so I was picking up a lot of these. At $30, I'll probably slow down, but if the play is still there, I think I have one of these coming back to me from grading. So if it comes back in a 10, I'll sell it off and run the play again. If it comes back in a 9, I'll hold it to see if this keeps going up with the hype of the new set. we'll kind of go from there. The Pikachu Secret Rare from Crown Zenith, $31. I think that's a pickup. I think that is a beautiful card. I absolutely love that card. If you're into grading plays, the Pikachu 2025 World Championship card could be a play as well. These graded World Championship cards usually do pretty well. You just have to hold on to them for a little while. And another promo card, this Magneton here, Gen 1 Shinji Kanda art for only $10. I think that one's a very good card. It's been knocked down by the Surging Sparks reprint, so that's why that one's pretty cheap. So might be a good time to look at picking up that one if you don't have it. Gray felt hat for $572 is absolutely crazy, but the PSA 10 prices have kind of stalled out on this thing as well. They hit $2,500 in a high and have since come down to about $2,000. So it'll be interesting to see if this thing levels off here as well. This was going crazy. Yeah, $725, $731. Over $700 recent sales on these. We'll see if that slows down now that the PSA 10 prices have slowed down, because people were just buying them to try to do the PSA 10 grading play because they grade pretty easily. So it'll be interesting to see if that slows down. Bulbasaur 151 art rare. I'm still picking these up under $50 all day. I think that will be a very good card long term. And that's really all I've got. I've rambled on long enough. Leave me a rocket emoji in the comments if you made it this far. I appreciate you guys watching. I do these videos every week so that you guys don't have to follow the market. You can just rely on me. Unfortunately, the market's been pretty stable the last 3 or 4 updates, so we haven't had much of an update. But again, I'm just letting you guys know what I'm doing in the market, what I'm seeing here. As someone who's been in the market since 2022, which is longer than most, but shorter than a lot of others in this industry. So I'm still trying to make a name for myself. But if you like Pokemon content like this, subscribe to the channel. Like this video, goes a long way for the algorithm. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Or check out one of my other videos right over there. I'll catch you guys in the next one.